Hey guys, it's producer Diane, and I want to tell you real quick to listen and subscribe to season 2 of Asian Enough, an LA Times podcast having the conversations we need when we need them the most. Join returning host Jen Yamato and fellow Times reporters Johanna Puya, Tracy Brown, and Suhana Hussein as they explore the Asian American experience. Now, on Asian Enough, you'll hear interviews with a range of voices, including actors Sandra Oh and Lucy Liu, novelist Minjin Lee, or I guess in Korean it would be Lee Minjin, drag performer Jujubee, rapper Ruby Ibarra, and more. Each will share the joys, the complications, and everything else that comes along with being Asian American. So I obviously jumped on Jujubee's episode right away. I'm a big fan. I have been since her season on Drag Race. And I didn't know that she was Laotian. And she talked actually a lot about her family background, especially her grandmother, and how her grandmother really defied the submissive, passive Asian woman stereotype, and that she was this firecracker, and that she, spoke her mind, and she was very progressive in terms of being super supportive of Jujubee's drag. And just learning about that and learning about, Jujubee's dad and stuff like that, I loved hearing just like the real details of these people's backgrounds and how their own specific Asian experience made them, the creatives, the hard workers, but also just the human beings that they are today. So I highly recommend that you guys check out season 2 of Asian Enough. It explores topics like the pandemic's impact on the community, the need for allyship, the ongoing fight for inclusion in media, and so much more. Asian Enough season 2 is now available to stream on latimes.com or listen and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get podcasts. I mean, you're listening to this one, so clearly you know what you're doing. I love that for you. Bye.
This is the intro jingle. This is the K-Pop Daebak show with Eric Nam. Ooh.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the K-Pop Daebak show. I'm your host, Eric Nam, and I hope you guys have been doing well. Welcome to the show. If this is your first time, welcome. If this is your bajillionth time, equally welcome. Today, we have a great conversation with a great friend of mine. I'm super excited to talk to him, and I think you guys are going to love him too. His name is Armaan Malik. What's up, Armaan? How are you?
Woo! What's up? It's my debut on K-Pop Playback. I'm really super excited.
Well, I'm excited to have you here. Well, I guess we should set the background just a little bit so people have full clarity on what's going on. So, Armaan, myself, and Kashmir, we put out a song called Echo, and I'm sure everybody knows, but just in case you've been sleeping in a cave under a waterfall at the end of a tropical rainforest, now you know it's called Echo. And I guess today, for the purposes of our conversation, it's to get to know you, Armaan, a little bit better, and for our listeners and our audience to get to know you as well. Because I believe you are a self-professed listener of K-pop, a fan of K-pop. And now you're kind of in it, right? Through association with me, you're kind of in the K-pop game, and I'm kind of in the Indian music game as well. So it only seems fitting.
Eric Nam has inducted me into the whole K-pop world.
Well, thanks for joining us. And I the other thing I have to say is I'm really excited because I feel like we've only talked online in certain contexts of just hey, how are you? Or what's up? But I've never really got to know you or your background or your history. And so I'm actually really excited to do that. So I think a lot of the fans will get to know you, not just the musician, but the person, the man behind the mic, Armaan.
Let's get into it.
All right. So we're just going to jump into it. I guess, first of all, could you say hello to all of our listeners?
Hey guys, I'm Armaan Malik from India. I'm a Bollywood playback singer. I'm also a pop singer, songwriter, and I sing in a bunch of languages. I'm super excited to be here with Eric and let you know a little bit about my life.
Awesome. Well, I mean, you mentioned it yourself, so we're just going to start there. I've never heard of the phrase Bollywood playback singer. And I think for a lot of people, I did some research, I was trying to understand it, and I think I know what it is in general. But for the people who have no clue, what does that mean?
So Bollywood playback singer is a term used for singers who sing for actors who are on screen. So I'm sure you must have seen a bunch of Bollywood movies, and just after one scene ends, there's a music video that happens, and there's a song that comes in, and the actor is singing, but it's not his voice; it's our voice. It's a playback singer's voice.
I feel so deceived right now.
So a lot of people thought that the actor was actually singing, but that was not true. It's not true. It's us. We are singing, and the term for that is playback singing, because well, even I don't know why it's called playback singing, but it's called playback singing, and it's a very it's been a tradition actually, playback singing for many years. I actually I belong to a family that's been in the music business since almost, like, it's been 4 generations of people in the Malik family who've been part of the music industry in India. So I have, like, this whole Bollywood, madhouse in my house. My uncle, my dad, my brother, my grandfather, all of them were into music. So I've literally grown up on Bollywood music and movies. I've been known to be a Bollywood playback singer for quite some time. And 2020 is when I kind of took this whole new direction and started doing all this pop stuff and singer-songwriter kind of things, which was not a departure, I would say, but just a different lane that I believe was a part of me. But my fans didn't know that I had that side to me. So I kind of introduced them to a very new Armaan Malik. So I'm pretty excited to talk to you about, like, how my world is, and like how Bollywood playback singing is, and then how I kind of like jumped into this whole pop thing,
Super cool. Well, let's start from the beginning. I mean, you mentioned it yourself. You're the 4th generation of musicians in your family, which is incredible. I know your father is a composer. Your brother is also a composer.
My brother is a composer. My father, my uncle, and my grandfather as well. So,
my gosh, what was that like? I mean, growing up, you were born into a family of musicians. I think that's really cool, and you probably get exposure to all sorts of music in ways that nobody can even imagine or dream of. At the same time, did you ever feel like, do I follow in this family tradition of music, or do I have to? Did you ever feel pressure, or was it something that was like, this is all I want to do?
So my dad didn't want me to get into music at all.
Really?
He was like very hesitant. He was like, you got to do your thing. My mom also like came from a very educational background, and she wanted me to like complete my studies, and music was not something that they thought that would be a career for me. They obviously encouraged me to take lessons and start singing classes and stuff like that. I started learning Hindustani classical music when I was just 4. So everything started very early on, but I never got the vibe from them that they wanted this to be a career for me.
So yeah, your parents really never encouraged it, but you had, I guess, picked it up from a young age.
I did. For me, it almost came naturally. I belong to a family of musicians. I have it in my blood. It was just something so natural for me. At the age of 3, I was, tapping rhythms and stuff like that, and going crazy all over the house. And my parents were like, "Wait, what's happening right now?" And they were trying to process all of this. And before I could even like talk, I was singing. So
that's awesome.
They were like, "Wait, this is inborn talent in him. Let's kind of like get him into classes and see where this goes." They never thought of it as a career until the age of 9. That's when I decided I want to do this for a living.
It's still so young. That's awesome, though. I mean, to know from such a young age that this is what you want to do and pursue.
But I think it's an Asian thing, right? All of us really start very early. I've seen that happen in a lot of Asian countries, that like kids start very early, like learning the piano, the guitar and stuff like that.
Exactly, especially for like specializing things. Like even I think of like gymnasts or like athletes who start so early. But I guess for you, like, it was music. And the reason I'm like, wow, it's so young, is because like traditionally, I feel like entertainment is that one thing though that Asian parents aren't the most excited about pursuing from a young age. And so that's why I'm like, oh, that's really cool. But, from a young age, I saw that you were cast to be the singing voice of Simba in The Lion King, as well as you were cast in Aladdin as well. How old were you and what was that like? Like most of us watch these movies and are like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing. There's a singing lion. But you were the one that was singing. Like that is so cool.
So I did that like very recently. Even though I started my career as a voiceover artist at the age of 8 and 9. The Lion King and Aladdin projects actually popped like 2 years back. That's when it actually happened.
So they're newer.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. They're like the new Lion King and the new Aladdin.
So the live action ones.
The live action ones. Yeah, you're correct. So that's the one that I was part of. But I've been doing this since like the age of 8. So before even I was a singer, I used to do dubbing and voiceover acting. Yeah,
that's so cool. And all of these, for people who don't know, I'm just going to assume that you guys don't know all this because for me, I'm learning all this as well. But as I was doing research and reading into Armaan's life and stuff, like this young man is so accomplished. He makes it sound so easy. Like, oh yeah, I just do like playback singing and I just sing for all these. I sing for Lion King and Aladdin. Right. But you have won so many awards, right? So far, right? Just since 2015. So in like 6 years, you've won 19 awards. Yes. Flex on them.
Yeah.
You're also the youngest Indian singer ever to win the R.D. Burman Filmfare Award and Dada Saheb Phalke, which I probably messed up the pronunciation for.
No, it was awesome. Actually,
yes.
A lot of Indians who are going to be watching this, they are going to be so happy that you took R.D. Burman and Dada Saheb Phalke's name because these two are legends of our country.
Really? So, well,
yeah.
I feel like I learn something every day when I'm talking to you. This is so great. But that award is also India's highest award in the field of cinema. So is that like the Oscars for the US pretty much?
It is, yeah. So the Filmfare Award is like the Grammy or the Oscars. It's the same, like an equivalent in India. And the night that I got that award, actually, it's a surprise award. They don't announce the nominations before. It's just on the day of the event, they announce the award and announce the winner. So my brother and I, we both were part of it. And Amal got an award and I was like, okay, I'm like, we all of us were celebrating. I was not even thinking about like my award. Like I was thinking like, will I get an award? Because they don't announce nominations. And we all are ready to leave the venue because I'm like, dude, I'm not going to get it. Mm-hmm. And they announce and the award goes to Armaan Malik. And I'm like, what? It's crazy because I was the youngest to receive that award as a male playback singer. At the age of 20 is when I received it. And what was special for me at that point of time was my dad being in the industry. He's waited to like attend that function and event for like his entire career. And he happened to be there for the first time. And he picked up not only one award for Amal, but like another award for me. And the funniest thing is the most curious thing. Before I could go to the stage, he ran to the stage and he grabbed the award before me.
This is mine. So, they're my kids. This is the same family.
So I think I have such fond memories of that award ceremony and that particular award. It's truly one of the most special things that have happened for me.
Man, that's so cool. And to have a brother and your father just kind of be there for that and experience with them, that's so cool. I guess in regards to that award or just in general, like you've done so many songs. You've released over 200 songs, right? Yeah. And then you've done 86 specifically for Hindi films. And like, I feel like, and you also sing in like 10 or 11 different languages, which is wild. How is this possible? Like, how is this physically possible? Like, are you a genius? Or is it like a robot inside your head where you're just like learning? Like, is it for context, and I know like India has so many different languages, and so it's like kind of necessary if you want to work in and out of different things to know them. But like, did it come naturally to you? Did it come easily to you because you did it from such a young age? I'm just kind of curious about that process.
So the thing is, in India, there's like every different state has a different language.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I always wanted to connect to every different culture that's there in India.
Mm-hmm.
So Bollywood and Hindi music represents one part of our audience.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are pockets in India where the South India that has 4 languages within South India. Then there's Northeast India, which has different languages. Then there's West Bengal, which has another language. Then North has Punjabi. So there's a lot of languages across India. And my thing was that I wanted to be able to sing in all these languages, to be an Indian singer and not just a Bollywood singer. That's something that I really wanted to make sure that that's what sets me apart from it, everyone else. And from the age of 9, I started doing voiceovers and ads and jingles. So this composer just asked me like, okay, you just did the Hindi version of this advertisement. Would you like to do it in like a Telugu or a Tamil? And so those are 2 South Indian languages. And I was like, I haven't like done them before, but I mean, I'm down to trying it. So I just went into the studio and just delivered those lines, and they were like, yeah, that's awesome. That sounds perfect. So for me, I think the more I did those voiceover recordings and more of those jingles in those different languages, I got a taste of how it is to perform and switch between Hindi and Telugu and Tamil. Everything has its own pronunciation, enunciation, and there are some languages you have to roll the tongue, and I'm like, wait, what do I do now? So it's crazy, but it's so unique, and not a lot of people in India do that. There are few singers. There are singers like Shreya Ghoshal. There are singers like Sonu Nigam. These guys are truly legends of our playback industry, and all of us kind of have this knack of singing in different languages. It's not easy at all. It just takes a very different skill set, because when I go into a recording studio and they tell me, okay, today is a Telugu song, and I just have this switch in my head which just goes and, okay, today is a Telugu song. I need to activate these parts of my brain and whatever skill set that need to be activated. And it's pretty cool to go through that process.
Right.
And it's the same, like for me, I mean, in the future, I would love to do something in like a Hindi, Korean kind of a thing with you. And,
that
would be so interesting. I know, like, Echo is a completely English song. And I'm glad that it reaches out to even more people because it's in English. But I'm so keen on doing something which is Hindi and Korean.
Yeah.
And I'm keen for you to sing Hindi and me to do Korean. So like that'll be
super cool. Or maybe we even just to start, like, what if we did like a Echo, like Korean and Hindi version, and we just flip the parts or something. I don't know. And then just put it on YouTube just for like,
for sure.
It's there.
Just for the culture, I think.
Yeah, for the culture and the people.
Let's do it.
That's so cool. It's so awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the K-Pop Daebak Show is brought to you in part by our sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp is an online, affordable, convenient, confidential, and a great way for you to get counseling. Now, let me tell you what BetterHelp is. BetterHelp is an online, right, affordable, professional alternative to offline counseling, right? Instead of having to go somewhere, you can just do it from your phone or your laptop or wherever you are, and it's completely confidential. And look, we all go through our issues. We all go through our things, the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, whatever it is we might be going through, we should have somebody to talk to about. So BetterHelp has professional licensed counselors that are there for you to walk you through it and to talk to you and do all those things that amazing counselors do. Counseling, do you need it? I don't know. I feel like everybody can use somebody to talk to. Somebody that can listen to whatever you may be going through: stress, anxiety, relationship issues, sleeping issues, anger issues. We all go through things in life, and it's great to have somebody to talk to. So if you have ever considered talking to a counselor or a therapist of any sort, then consider using BetterHelp. And just to help you guys out in getting started, I want you to start living a happier life today. And as a listener of this show, you're going to get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/Kpop. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Kpop. I guess we skipped over a step of just me asking, like, who really influenced you? Obviously, family was so influential. But were there particular singers or actors or different people that really influenced your music and what you attach yourself to? Because I guess the other thing is, like, when you start singing from such a young age, you're singing a lot of songs for people, like in movies. They're not your songs in that way. So what really informed the type of music that you want to create, that you love to listen to and perform?
Okay, so I have like a cool story about that.
Yeah.
We've all owned iPods, right? You've had an iPod.
Yes.
So I had this iPod Nano
Mhm.
in high school, and my brother filled those up with like really cool songs, English songs, Western songs, pop songs, R&B, everything. And there was some AC/DC and Metallica and everything
Uh-huh.
in one iPod. It was like a mixed bag. And I think that's like, I would say in some way like my textbook on what I do right now in pop music.
Mhm.
It was my Bible, that iPod
Mm.
Nano. It was something that that every day, coming back from school, I used to listen to songs on that. And I was listening to stuff from Chris Brown, from Michael Jackson, and that's how I started getting into the whole Western pop thing.
Mm.
My traditional learning has been in Indian classical. My family, put me into classes very early on, and to be a playback singer, you need to learn Indian classical music and get
Mhm.
those chops in.
Yeah.
Because if that's not a base for you as a vocalist, you won't be able to perform like stuff in movies, because songs in movies are just not just like, okay, it's just a romantic song. Sometimes from a romantic song, it just goes into another orchestral kind of thing, and you need to access a very different part of your voice for
Right.
those sections. So Indian classical music is what like strengthened my voice. And I feel it's because of that base and that tradition and the whole learning that I had as a kid, that kind of helped me open my voice and learn all these R&B things, and the R&B runs that you hear in like R&B
Mhm.
songs. So that's basically when I do Indian classical, it's a little slowed down version of that and different kind of intonations. So
Wow.
because I learned classical music, R&B and stuff, like the runs and stuff, became so much more easier to grasp for me as
That's
a
so
vocalist.
cool. I
So
didn't even
that's
think
where
of
my
that. Yeah.
interest. So that's why my interest went into R&B and pop and stuff like that. And at the age of 13 and 14, I went up to my dad and I'm like, Dad, I want to do pop music.
Mm.
And my dad looked at me and he's like, wait, we're in India. This country lives and breathes Bollywood, Hindi music, and you want to do pop music?
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah, I want to do that. That's something that I really feel passionate about.
Yeah.
So he sat me down and he gave me a lecture for an hour
Mm.
about how I should pursue pop music after a few years,
Uh-huh.
make my base in Indian music, gain fans, and create my whole artistry in India
Mhm.
first, and then once I have all of that working for me, then use that to do pop music. So even though at that age I was disheartened because my dad's like telling me, don't do pop music now.
Mhm.
I was like, wait, why is my dad discouraging me? But then now I look back on it and I feel like the whole training that I've had as a playback singer, doing songs for movies, singing in different genres and different languages, that's prepared me for this stage of my life where
Right.
I'm, venturing into global pop, and I'm able to use those tricks into my singing, and sometimes they come out in echo. Even like the last part in echo is a little bit of an Indian inflection, which is
Yeah.
yeah. So that's a
Mhm.
very Indian kind of thing mixed with R&B pop. So I think it's all those learnings that helped me do what I'm doing right
That's
now. So I just wanted to give you a backstory of how the training and the music helped me.
I mean, that's so cool, and that's great. I think that they go so hand in hand, and it's really, I think you bring up a good point of how important and how should we say this? Like, your younger years are so formative to
It's so important.
how you create music, and that's like my thing about people are like, why do we not have more Asian musicians or Asian artists or whatever? I'm like, they're there, but like in the States, for example, like we haven't seen a lot of artists that look like myself or yourself in mainstream media. So we need kids that starting at 8, 9, just like you did, and say, I'm going to become a singer, I'm going to be an actor, and start honing their craft. And that's where they pick up the skills and really get good at whatever it is.
For sure.
And that's
like for me, sitting in India, I was just like looking at Justin Bieber, and I'm like, wait, why isn't there someone from India doing this? You know, like a kid of 14, 15 doing pop music and like doing tours and world tours. And that was unthinkable in India. It was just like, okay, you have the set life of becoming a Bollywood playback singer.
Right.
No one else dreamt of anything else. There was no world outside of that world. And I was like, no, there has to be a world. And I need to push through, and I need to get this going for India.
Well, that's what you're doing, and that's why it's so cool. And I think it's so cool to talk to you about this stuff, because you are that guy. you are living that out. Yeah.
I need that the thug life, the glasses that come out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's what you got to get. But look, I mean, you have so much success in India. You have so many fans in India. You are the youngest Indian artist to do a world tour and perform at the SSC Arena in Wembley at the age of 21. But the entire time you're like, I'm gonna do this pop thing. And so finally, in March of 2020, you start doing pop music, right? So you signed to, I believe it was Arista.
Yeah, I signed to Arista Records.
And now you're doing music, obviously in India, but also just globally through English language stuff. Couple questions. What was it like signing to a US record label? And then what was it kind of like to be able to finally take the first steps in achieving your goal of becoming like this Indian pop guy?
Honestly, all the times that I was touring and doing these concerts, I was also itching to put in a few of my pop songs that I was making. So I was on tour, but when I was in my room, I was with my guitar creating pop songs and pop tunes, which I knew would never see the light of day because I'm in this Bollywood world. I'm only going to be doing this thing for life. And 2018, 2019 is when I kind of like, I woke up and I was like, wait, this is not something that I want to continue doing, because there's an artist inside of me that really wants to come out and really wants to showcase what he has inside. Yeah. And I started taking trips to London, Los Angeles, doing writing sessions. I started, meeting producers, songwriters, and just opening up my mind as to how that world could work for me. A lot of people say that, if it's not meant to happen, it won't happen, whatever it is. And, for me, I felt like I needed to go and grab that opportunity. I couldn't sit in India and wait for things to happen for me. So I took that first step, and, I started doing these trips to LA, and I started writing a bunch of songs, and demos were going from one place to another. And it landed on the ears of David Massey, who was the head of Arista Records. And he happened to, contact me, and, he said, I'm traveling to the UK for the Brits. Why don't you meet me then? Let's talk about what you want to do. And I was like, what? Really? Does that happen? Is that possible? And so we took a flight to UK, and we talked at length about what my dreams are. And they were really passionate about, India being the next big Asian market for the world. And they also saw that, that an Indian person hasn't broken out into the pop world as much as they should have before. Right. So it just seemed like there was a synergy between both of us, and where like we had this common goal that we wanted to achieve together. And yeah, I signed to Arista Records, and it took a year for me to kind of transition into the whole world of pop music, because the songwriting is very different. The process of songwriting, what I was used to in India, is very different from what was happening in LA or whatever. So you want to know how
yeah,
that is
I was just going to ask, could you tell me, like, what is the writing process like? So let's say in Bollywood or in India, and then how does that compare or contrast with, let's say, LA?
Okay, so you've been to sessions in LA, so you know how it works. I mean, there's a producer, there's a song, there's a couple of songwriters. You're there, and you brainstorm on a couple of themes and ideas, what you want to do, and someone plays some guitar lick, and it's thrown in there, and then you just cut like verses and play around. So that's how the song comes to life in LA. That's what I learned. But in India, it's very different. So I'm going to say it like from a very film Bollywood perspective of things. So the director, who's the director of the movie, identifies the portion in the movie that he feels a song would fit in between two scenes.
Yeah.
And he comes with that situation to a composer. A composer is given the responsibility to kind of create the soundtrack for the movie.
Right.
And the director comes with that situation, and the composer kind of understands where that is going and what it needs to lead to, because the song needs to lead somewhere into another scene. So he needs to know how it starts, how it ends. He creates kind of a mood board of where that song should go. And he creates a tune, or he asks a lyric writer, a specific lyric writer who writes the lyrics for the song, to write words for the song according to the situation. So you know how it is. The lyric could come first, or the melody could come first. It could be either way. But there's very defined roles. The composer is the guy who only creates the melody, who creates the tune, the top lining that we say in LA.
Yeah.
And the lyric writer only writes the words. So the lyric writer does not contribute in the melody, and the guy who's the composer only creates the melody. So they have these individual aspects that they work on. And once the song is locked in, like the melody and the lyrics are one together, and we have like verse 1, verse 2, bridge, whatever, everything is sorted out, that goes to a producer with like a cue box of mine or another singer. And then the producer sits with that cue box and that composition, and then creates the whole sonic space for that song.
Wow.
And then I come into the picture once the song has been produced, and then cut the vocals finally. So I would say it's a little bit of a disjointed process, but that's how it kind of works here, because we're so used to it. It's kind of tradition now to kind of follow this whole pattern.
Right.
But we're breaking that now. Like musicians like me, there are younger musicians who are so used to the songwriting process that happens in the West. So we're kind of bringing that wave into India as well. But the traditional way of like composing a song and making a song is, I feel, so sacred to the community here, that we're so used to this whole process. So for me, literally, when I leave Bombay, I have a different side of my brain that opens up, and I'm like, okay, now the LA door opens for me in my head. So it's really cool, man.
That's really cool. And I also understand that. For me, like, I think K-pop can be kind of similar. And listening to you explain it the way that I process it this time is like, oh, like India and like, you'd say even Korea, a lot of Korea, it's like there's more intentionality and it's more specialist. So like, I'll be honest, like I'm not the strongest with lyrics. I know that. So like I rely on a lot of my co-writers.
Same here.
Yeah, that's me. Like I feel good about melodies. I can come up with melodies for days, but it's lyrics where I'm like, oh man, I'm just not the best with my words. But in Korea, for example, like I know there are people who are just great lyricists, and that's the only thing they do. And so sometimes if I need to do a Korean song, I'll write it in English, I'll write it in LA. I'm like, you guys, honestly, let's be very real. Lyrics don't matter because I'm going to get this put into Korean. And I take it to Korea, and then I have a lyricist that will sit there for days and just like come together with like a great poetic piece. And that's like the one thing that I wish LA had more of, like really great lyricists who I could just send my stuff to. Like, can you just make this better? But just because
that's wild.
Yeah. But as you know, the nature of it, it's like everybody's just in the room and they're just like chilling and they just kind of vibe out and like, what do you want to talk about? How are you feeling? And that's how it often goes. It was interesting. I was in a session, I think yesterday or the day before or something, and I met some like new writers, and I was like following them on Instagram, and I saw that you had mutual follows, like you guys were following each other, like a couple of them, and then I was like,
Who's that?
I don't remember, but I think the one that I do remember
I know
is
Sad Alex is a mutual friend of ours. Yeah.
Sad. It was her birthday yesterday. I saw her yesterday too.
Oh yes, yeah.
She was definitely one of them, but I was like, oh, I guess like, and I didn't even know this. I was like, oh, I guess like Armaan's been spending time out here just like writing and stuff. But it's really cool. It's cool also because I feel like our lives are parallel in some ways. It's just you're the Indian version of doing that here, and I'm the Korean version of doing that here.
I feel the same. You know, there's so many people who ask me, so what do you feel about Eric? I feel like Eric is like my long lost brother from another country. I feel like he's living the same life that I'm living. It's just we're coming from two different industries, and now we want to kind of transition into this whole pop singer-songwriter thing that we want to do. So yeah, I think it's cool.
I think I've only found that out as we've continued to talk and like do this stuff. I'm like, oh man, there's like, I mean, musically it works and like musically it makes sense, but like as I'm doing more research, I'm like, oh wow, there's like a lot of similarities even beyond that between the two of us, which I thought was really cool. So I guess like, so you did Arista, you've been songwriting, you've been doing all these different things. What was it like though when you were able to put out your first English song? Like I'm sure that was a very special moment for you in many ways.
Can I be honest here?
Yeah.
I think when Control released, I remember that day really clearly, 20th of March 2020. I was like, my debut song is released. It's my first song ever.
Yeah.
Like I've sung 200 plus songs, but for me, when Control released, I felt like a baby. Like I was like, I was dancing in the house, and my parents were like, "What's happened to this kid?" And I told them, "Mom, my song's released. Dad, my song's released." And they were like, "Okay, cool, awesome. That's congratulations." Yeah. They were happy for me, but they were like, "Wait, what's happening to him?" I just feel like I've had this in me for so long. I've waited for so long to do what I'm doing right now. And it's just unreal that I'm already on my fourth song, and my fourth song is a song with you. It's my first international collaboration. It's just a dream that I'm kind of living. And when Control released, I was just I don't think I was on Earth. I was on some other planet for sure.
I mean, yeah, I feel like everybody remembers that first song, that first release.
Yeah.
And I guess for you, it's kind of like this second chapter of like what you've always wanted to pursue it and go after. So that's so exciting. You mentioned that this, Echo, it's your fourth song. It's your first international collaboration. And again, I'm so honored to be a part of that first collaboration. I think I said this in an interview we were on, and I was like, I still remember my first song, obviously, but also the collaboration, and like it forever holds like a very dear, special part in my heart. And so I'm very honored to be a part of that. But I guess for people who don't know, we should tell them a little bit about Echo, right? Like how the song came together. I guess maybe the best way is to say like you and Niles worked on it. Niles is Kashmir in LA together. I guess this was on one of your songwriting camps or trips.
Yeah. So it was the trip that I went to shoot Control's video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I shot the video, and Ayushman, my manager, he kind of, said that we're going to Niles' house. So I was like, okay, cool, let's go. And Niles was just chilling there. And then we were hanging out, and he played me a bunch of music. And Echo was one of the ideas that he played. And I was like, wait, that's such a cool melody. And like, I would love to do something with that. And he was like, go for it, man. Like, just record your vocals. I was like, wait, already? Like, I just came to hang out. So I went into the recording booth, which is literally his closet. So I was there in Kashmir's closet, however crazy that sounds.
Yeah.
and recorded Echo's vocals there, like the first draft. Obviously, I re-recorded when I came back to India. And yeah, I think the journey for that song started then. I came back, and the pandemic was there in the world, and we obviously couldn't travel. I had the song on me, and we were thinking of releasing it as a single. Kashmir was kind of like indecisive about what he wants to do with the track, and like he had an album coming, and I remember that I had a few Hindi releases, so we were like, okay, cool. We'll think of a time when we come back to the song.
Yeah.
And then Eric and Armaan kind of bumped into each other on Twitter. And then it was so cool, you know. Honestly, I was on Twitter and just going through a couple of tweets, and a lot of my fans had tagged me in a post that you put out saying that, are there any cool Indian singers that you know?
Right.
I remember that's where it started.
That's what it was.
That's where it started.
I'm so glad you remember that, because I'll be honest, I literally have the worst memory, like about anything. People are like, remember this? I'm like, no. Like, we had dinner at that restaurant. I was like, I don't know who you are, but like, this happens to me all the time. And so I was like, I know, I was like, there's so many different ways that we could have connected. I'm sure it was on Twitter, but I couldn't pinpoint it, and it was bugging me. But I'm glad you remember.
It was that tweet.
Okay.
A lot of my fans tagged me on that with a bunch of other singers. And I was like, wait, who is this guy? Let's check him out. And then I went to Spotify, and then I think we had a bunch of stuff released. And at the same time, I think a few weeks later, I think you discovered my music and said, like, I heard Armaan's music and it's like really dope and stuff like that. I think that was one tweet that he put out. And at the same time, I was seeing a show called, what's that show with Phil? That food show?
Somebody Feed Phil.
Yeah. So I was obsessed with that show. And
man.
We went to that episode where he went to Korea, and you were there in that episode, and they were eating something so interesting. Tteokbokki, is that what it's called?
Oh yeah. Rice cake, like spicy rice cake.
Yeah. So sorry if I
no, it was good.
Wrong. I took a picture. I took a story of that and posted on my Twitter, and everyone like flipped out. Like, how does Armaan know about tteokbokki? And then there's Eric Nam in that show and stuff like that. And then I think I replied to your tweet as well, saying that I love your music because I chanced upon your music after that show. And I think in that show, there was this guitar part. And I was like, wow, I love that guitar part. It's something that I would put out. So I went to Spotify and I was like, let's search where is this song of Eric. Yeah. And then it was You're Sexy, I'm Sexy. I love that song, bro. I absolutely love that song. I played it like for 50 times when I heard it first, and I was like, this is so sick. This is absolutely sick.
Thank you.
And then I tweeted to you, and then we connected, and then obviously rest is history.
Man, well, I'm so glad that history played out the way it did, because we put out a great song, but also I feel like I have an Indian brother, which is awesome.
I can't wait to come to Korea, man. I'm so I'm so jealous of the stuff that you guys eat all the time.
Dude.
Like it's
when you come, make sure you're not on a diet or anything. Just make sure you're ready to eat and like just stuff your face because it's delicious.
Everybody, guess what? This show, the K-Pop Daebak Show, is brought to you in part by our sponsor, Honey. Now, Honey, what is Honey? Listen, we all shop online, and we always see that little thing, that little box that says promo code, discount code, and, traditionally you go and you search for the coupon code that's going to let you save 10%, 15%, 20%, or get money back, or whatever it is, even free shipping. Well, listen, you don't need to do that manual search anymore. Honey is the free shopping tool that searches the entire internet for promo codes and applies the best one it finds to your cart. Honey supports over 30,000 stores online. That's wild. I personally use Honey for everything, all the shopping that I do online. I'm not even kidding. It's always there just in case I find a discount, and it has more often than not saved me a lot of money. Even what did I order recently? I think I ordered like some spices and some drinks for my house, and I saved money. It's very easy to use. You download the extension onto your browser. So quick and easy to do. If you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out on free savings. It's literally free and installs in a few seconds. And by getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting this podcast. I never recommend something I don't use. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/Kpop. That's joinhoney.com/Kpop. Now back to our show.
Let's go, man. Let's plan one.
No, it'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, so I mean, we put Echo out on what month are we in? We're in May, right?
24. Yeah. I think Eric is lost.
I'm always like, what is happening? It was like May 20th, right?
May 21st.
Yeah, 21st. May 21st.
I know your schedule more than you. You had this Levi show happening on 20th, 21st. I'm like, I think I know Eric's schedule more than Eric knows his schedule.
So embarrassing. This is so embarrassing, man. Yes. So May 21st, Echo released. May 20th, I had a bunch of stuff, but we had been on calls together all day and stuff. But May 21st, the song released. It's been out for less than a week, and we have, I think, like 6 million views on.
It's going to 7 now. It's going to 7. I think I think it should be 7 by the time this comes out. So
I mean, I think by the time this comes out, it'll be 10. Maybe hopefully 10 million. It's doing like the love that Spotify and Apple and all these DSPs have shown us has been incredible.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
I love seeing these fan reaction videos. Have you seen any of these?
I've seen them.
They're incredible. They
Which one have you seen?
I've seen like 10 of them.
Okay, there's this guy with glares on. Have you seen that one?
Probably. With Indian guy?
No, so he's a Korean dude.
Oh wait, no, I saw that one last night. Night.
And I expected, he's very zoned out when he was listening to the song.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Oh, Ekdam, Korean guy." And I was like, I thought you would know that when the song came up. Like
when it said Eric Nam, yeah. Well, it's interesting. Like a lot of people, like this happens all the time. Whenever I put stuff out in English and I'm not in Korea to promote it on like radio or TV shows, people are like, oh, like there's a pop artist named Eric Nam. I wonder if it's the same Eric Nam. I'm like, you guys, there can't be that many Eric Nams who are singers. And so even in Korea, when I look at like English song releases, it's like, is this Eric Nam the Eric Nam that we all know? I'm like, yes, it is me.
Oh God.
I saw one where it was a family of like 5 people. It's like 2 little brothers, a sister, a brother, and like dad. And they're all just sitting and staring at the screen. And they just watch in silence the entire time. I just thought it was the funniest and the cutest thing. Because like the 2 little brothers, I don't think they have any idea what's going on, but they're just like there, just like watching. And I was like, this is cute.
You have to send me this. I want to see it.
I'll send it to you. I just laughed so hard because I thought it was really cute. But yeah, man, like I guess briefly, let's talk about like Echo, the lyrics. When you put your verse together and like, I guess the hook and everything, because I guess for people to understand the full context, like I got a version with your vocals on it, and then I went in, wrote second verse lyrics, and then put my vocals on it. So it was all over the internet, but it was a pretty, I think, collaborative process of putting the song together. But lyrically, what were you thinking when you put the words together for this?
There's a writer friend of mine, Natanya, who's been part of my English pop music since the beginning. Okay, She was the one who actually pushed me to kind of come to LA and do songwriting and kind of explore this whole world. So she's the one who's co-written this song with me, the first verse that we came up with. And I think it was just such a common emotion that a lot of like friends and couples and everyone around me was going through. And especially because of the pandemic, a lot of people were going back and forth and they're like, should we go ahead with this relationship? Should we not? Should we put an end to it? And a lot of it was like, just because they were far away from each other and they couldn't meet. And I just felt that emotion was so relatable to everyone around the world, because we're all going through it. We're all kind of away from the people we love, and that's causing a lot of tension. That's causing a lot of friction between the two people. And I think that was the emotion that we worked and built upon. And just the word echo is such a cool word to play with, because that emotion just comes through with that word. I mean, you don't need, even if you don't put any word with echo, it just says so many things.
Right.
Just the word echo.
Right.
So I think it was just beautiful how it all came together. We've been going back and forth like an echo. It's a very simple line, but it just kind of, it resonates with a lot of people on so many levels. So that was the idea that we kind of built upon. And we had written some kind of a dummy second verse for you to kind of get an idea when we sent it to you. And we were like, no, let Eric do his thing. But I just wanted to give you some kind of like vocal reference or something like that. And you did your parts, obviously, I think in Korea.
Yeah, I did it in Korea. Yeah. It was like, I was like, man, echo is such a simple word, but it works so good. And I was like, how did we not think of this before? And I was like, oh, wow. Like, and like you said, echo has so many different connotations and different ways that you can take it. But I just remember it was like, when I first got the song and like the lyrics, I was like, this just feels like a tortured relationship. Not in like this is like a horrible way, but just like, you have what, like, even if you love this person, you go back and forth in and out of love, in and out of fights and all that kind of stuff. And so for me, it was like my verse, it was like this fighting. Like, I don't know why I had this image of like people just being like, I hate you, but I love you. And I freaking hate you. And like, it's like that torture where you love them, but you can't let them go. And it's just everything kind of repeats and it echoes and reverberates. And I think that's where my head was at when I was putting my verse together. But really cool.
I love how you changed like the melody in certain parts and made it your own, which I think I was really, looking forward to you changing the color of the track towards the second verse, because that's what it needed. Throughout the song, actually, the chord progressions are pretty much similar throughout the song. But what adds that variation is when you change the tune there, and when we come back together, when we trade off lines. Dude, I was so scared for that part. I was like, wait, I've done my portions. I've done my portions. I think Eric's going to do something. I don't know how the hell Kashmir is going to piece it all together and how it's going to sound. It might just be noise.
Yeah. This could be horrible. This could be the worst. Let's pray to God it's not.
And then we'll be like, cancel. We're not going ahead with this collaboration. Bye.
Yeah. And how do we tell people we're like, oh wait, this is not going to work out. But I'm so glad it did work out. I was nervous because I remember I was like, how are they going to piece this together? Is it going to be like we keep going like literally back and forth, or like I don't know, but I do remember being like, okay, I'm just going to cut a bunch of different things, and then I'm sure Niles Kashmir will be able to like piece it together because he's that producer genius that he is. And he did. So thank the Lord. It worked out that way.
He came through.
He did. Also, big shout out to Kashmir, Niles, who like I think it's like it's easy for singers to always be in the forefront because we're like singing it, but like his track and his production and like the idea and everything, I think
so sick.
We gotta shout him out.
I'm a huge fan of his. Like I saw an interview of yours where you were mentioning Like a G6 was a jam for you.
Yeah.
Dude, I used to party to that song with my friends like back in the day, all the time. And Far East movement was like such a big thing at that point of time. And they were one of the first few Asians to kind of like
Billboard. I believe they were the first Asians to get #1 on Billboard, which is huge.
Isn't that so cool?
It's so wild. And I didn't even realize, like, I think Eddie had told me like in the past, like, yeah, like Kashmir is actually, he was on Like a G6. I was like, what? And then I forgot it. Like, again, this goes back to my horrible memory. And then I saw him I saw Niles at the video shoot, and he was like, "Yeah, like a G6." I was like, "Oh right, you did like a G6! Oh my god!" And I had a little fanboy moment, but yeah, it's a big shout out to KSHMR. Everybody, go listen.
I get confused what to call him. I call him Niles sometimes. I call him Kashmir, and half the people are like, "Wait, who are you referring to?" Sorry, we're lost.
Yeah,
and I'm
he's
like,
the same guy.
So I always say Niles Kashmir, and then continue everything else.
Give him two
But
names.
I love the dude. I think he's just so amazing with what he does, and he's just an absolute beast of a producer. He's amazing.
He absolutely is. It would have been funny if we were doing this together, but we would probably just go in circles of us just cracking jokes and not getting anywhere.
Hey guys, it's producer Diane, and I want to tell you real quick to listen and subscribe to season 2 of Asian Enough, an LA Times podcast having the conversations we need when we need them the most. Join returning host Jen Yamato and fellow Times reporters Johanna Puya, Tracy Brown, and Suhana Hussain as they explore the Asian American experience. Now, on Asian Enough, you'll hear interviews with a range of voices, including actors Sandra Oh and Lucy Liu, novelist Minjin Lee, or I guess in Korean it'll be Lee Minjin, drag performer Jujubi, rapper Ruby Ibarra, and more. Each will share the joys, the complications, and everything else that comes along with being Asian American. So I obviously jumped on Jujubi's episode right away. I'm a big fan. I have been since her season on Drag Race, and I didn't know that she was Laotian, and she talked actually a lot about her family background, especially her grandmother, and how her grandmother really defied the submissive, passive Asian woman stereotype, and that she was this firecracker, and that she, spoke her mind, and she was very progressive in terms of being super supportive of Jujubi's drag. And just learning about that and learning about, Jujubi's dad and stuff like that, I loved hearing just the real details of these people's backgrounds and how their own specific Asian experience made them, the creatives, the hard workers, but also just the human beings that they are today. So I highly recommend that you guys check out season 2 of Asian Enough. It explores topics like the pandemic's impact on the community, the need for allyship, the ongoing fight for inclusion in media, and so much more. Asian Enough season 2 is now available to stream on latimes.com or listen and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get podcasts. I mean, you're listening to this one, so clearly you know what you're doing. I love that for you. Bye.
Okay, so we have a lot of fan questions for you. A lot of Armanians who have left some questions for you. We're gonna check them out real quick.
Let's go.
We're gonna start with a very simple question. All right, this is from Instagram on Muskan K Pawar. It says, "What thing?" Oh man, I'm glad I don't have to answer this. What is it in music that connects people, and what is music to you? I'm just gonna leave you there, and you can go off.
Can you repeat that question, please?
Yeah. I think it's what is it about music that connects people, and what is music to you?
Okay, so I would answer that in a very simple way. Music is very different for different people. Mm-hmm. I think for a musician, for me, I cannot listen to a song just for what it makes me feel. I don't know. It's just, as a musician, as soon as I hear a song, I start dissecting the melody. I start thinking about what chord progressions have been used. How is he arriving on the hook? Mm-hmm. Those are the things that run in my mind. And a lot of my friends, they take me for concerts and stuff like that. And I'm like, please don't take me, because when you take me, I'm analyzing everything. I'm a musical nerd. So for me, instead of going and enjoying the music, I'm on my phone, okay, intro song, okay, pyros went here, and then this beat dropped, and then this is what happened. So I listen to music very differently, and music, even though I do feel the emotions what music gives me, but the first thing that I feel when I listen to a piece of music is what it attracts me towards like musically. What's the one thing? Like when I hear Charlie Puth's stuff, I'm like, wait, the chords and the bass line, wow, I'm into the song. So that's how I look at music. But obviously, when there are songs that are so bare that there's no scope of you to kind of think like, okay, this is the chord progression, or this is what the part or the beat or whatever it is, just a guitar and voice, acoustic, unplugged stuff. And even when it comes to K-pop, a lot of people really love the whole peppy dance, upbeat kind of K-pop, and I'm like the guy who loves all those winter songs and the ballad songs. And I'm just that kind of guy. And in those kind of those kind of genres, I really relate to the lyrics, because that's where the lyrics really hit me. So to answer her question, I know I went kind of into the whole musical zone of things. I think music means different things to different people. For me, if I had to describe music in one word, it's me. The entirety of me is music. I can't take that away from me.
Awesome. Very well said. You
whatever
mentioned
I made sense of whatever I could and gave that answer. I don't know. I have no clue what I said. When fans see this, please.
It made sense. Don't worry. It worked.
Make fun of me.
It worked. It worked. This is not from a fan, but I feel like it was probably because we had so many people ask this that we didn't have like a single person. What other K-pop artists would you love to work with or collaborate with?
I think there are so many K-pop artists that are so cool, and what they're doing right now is so commendable. I've always been a fan of EXO. I'm a huge fan of the group, and I'm particularly a very big fan of Chen. I love his vocals. There's this one song of his which is Beautiful Goodbye, I think. I don't know if you've heard that song, and I'm sure you've heard that song. Sorry, I'm like obviously
no.
How stupid of me.
No. I honestly, there's so many releases, but I know that song was very very popular a few years back. So
so that's the kind of like K-pop I gravitate towards, and EXO is definitely one of my favorites. So if I get a chance to collaborate with them, I would love to. And I do know that Chen, I think, is in the military right now. He's when he comes back, please people tell him Armaan Malik is here. He wants to do something with him. I love his voice. I really love his voice. I think he's got a beautiful tone and a beautiful range as well. I've seen a couple of his videos where I'm like, whoa, that's super high.
Right.
So I love EXO and I love Chen, and there's also Kai, I think, from the group, who's really cool. So these are the dudes that I really
got
love.
A very real EXO-L right here. You're a very sincere EXO fan. I mean, that would be so cool. And let's see.
So who are your favorite like K-pop artists right now in your industry? Like, who do you feel is like really cool?
I mean, honestly, like everybody says BTS and Blackpink because they're super cool. It is what it is. I can't deny that. I think other people who are kind of like, they're lesser known right now, I should say. It's like BB, who's a cool female artist. Also, this girl named Moon, who I just kind of stumbled upon her stuff. My friend Davi, he's like a great producer, but also does like his own singer-songwriter artist thing as well. So I don't know. I feel like I've been doing a lot more, less of the big K-pop kind of things, but I've been getting a lot more into like the indie underground, not hip hop, but like R&B scene. And that's where I've been hearing a lot of things like, oh, that's really interesting. That's really cool.
Are there a lot of solo artists there? Are there a lot of solo artists?
I say on the indie underground, yes. R&B, yes. When it comes to like K-pop, what everybody thinks about, like not too many. It's like, it's IU, who's like the biggest like solo. And then everybody else, I feel like, who's a solo artist was in a group at some point. So they're all like, Baekhyun, he's part of EXO. Kai has solo stuff, but he's part of EXO. Taemin, part of SHINee. So I think it's not as common to find solo artists who have started as solo and like kept their way as solo.
Got it.
So yeah, but there are just not as many as I'd love for them to be, because I think it's just hard. Solo in Korea is hard. Like, I speak from the experience of, like, I've always been jealous of groups, because if you're in a group and you have 8 members, like, you're gonna take this, you're gonna take that, and everybody has a different specialty. And then when they come together as a group, there's a synergy. But for me, it's like, I was always tired, because I was like, I have to do the TV, radio, and like the events and everything, but I'm one person, where everybody else can like split it up. And I was always jealous of that. But you know, it just makes me stronger, is the way I like to see it. All right, we have one more question from a fan. It's from J1K2 Sue. Indian music scene has been very traditional. People are mostly exposed to songs from movies. So being from that traditional background, did you have any apprehensions when you first released your pop song? Obviously, putting music out in English was like a big goal for you, but anything that made you like a little worried or nervous or anxious before you kind of jumped into it?
I was petrified. To be honest.
Why?
I was. Because, Eric, I'm like a true blue Bollywood playback singer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when you're so deep into this part of the world and what do you do here, to kind of break away from that and make a whole new different thing happen for you, for me in my head, and probably for my fans, thought I was leaving this part and catching that part and going ahead. So I had to really be very careful of how I tread and how I break this whole news to my fans.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why, before I actually made the move, a few years before that, on my social media, I introduced fans to this side of English music. I dropped a few covers here and there, and wanted them to know that this is a side of Armaan that, you know, we know that it's there. And I've talked about it in a lot of interviews where they ask me, oh, what are your future goals? And I'm like, I want to do stuff internationally. I want to do stuff globally. And I like, there was small little like seeds that I'd sown over the last few years for people to pick up on when I eventually do that, like do make that shift. But it was scary, because I have this really fierce fan base for my Bollywood songs. And I see a few of their comments on my English songs, like, why don't you just stick to Hindi? Why don't you doing, why are you doing this? And I'm like, in a few years, you'll know that this is what was meant for me. I feel like this is my calling as an artist. Right now, I know that a lot of my fans do feel connected to the Armaan Malik that they've known. But it is my responsibility to kind of, show them this new side of me and take them there. I cannot just one day get up and say, okay, I'm doing this now. I've left like this part of my life. Even today, honestly, I have a new Hindi song coming out tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
So and there's just continuous releases that are coming. So I can never and I don't want to. It's a part of my identity. It's who I am. I am Armaan Malik because of the Bollywood songs that I've sung and the work that I've done in the Indian film industry. But that does not mean that as an artist, I want to get limited to that.
Right.
I want to break out and do stuff that I've always wanted to do. If I didn't have that courage, if I didn't have that passion, I don't think we'd see, me up there on those billboards on doing things, and people are really like, wow, that's one of the first few Indians who's done that. And I'm like, dude, if I had not taken that step, I don't know who would, because I've never had someone in my country to look up to, like, okay, this person is going international. I want to follow in those in that person's footsteps. Just like you said, I never saw someone in the West who, was from our part of the world, who's, at the Grammys or was doing their thing on the Billboard charts and stuff. Obviously now BTS and other acts are now cracking those things for Korean artists. So similarly for India and Indian artists, I was yearning for something to happen and for a long time. And I was like, wait, if nothing is happening, I want to make it happen. So I just to answer that question, I feel like it took a lot of courage, a lot of strength for me to take this, kind of make this move. Now my time is split between doing Bollywood and Indian stuff and doing English pop. And I want all my fans to know that this is a part of my life that I'm never going to leave, because it is me, it is Armaan Malik. But this is something that I'm going to go forward and do probably a little more of in the future. And that is okay. And I want them to know that it's okay, because that is the true artist inside of me that wants to come out. And I want all my fans to embrace it.
Amazing. Yeah, no, well, I mean, look, you started so young and you still are so young, and there's so much more that you can do and that you will do and you must do for yourself, but also for the people and for the culture and everything. So I think fans will be along for the ride. I'm so glad to be a part of that ride, and hopefully we can do more cool things together in the future. This week's episode of the K-Pop Daebak Show is brought to you in part by our sponsor, Storyworth. Dads, father figures in our lives, they do a lot for us. They're very formative, and they are incredible. I love my dad, and he's done so much for me, and that's why I want to let you know about this thing called Storyworth. You can honor your dad, uncle, grandfather, father-in-law, whoever that father figure is in your life, with a heartfelt, sentimental gift that the entire family can cherish together forever. It is Storyworth. Now, what is it? Storyworth is an online service that helps that father figure, right, share stories through thought-provoking questions about their memories and personal thoughts. It's a fun new way to engage with them, especially if you can't be together in person. So what happens? Every week, Storyworth emails your dad or whoever a different story prompt, questions you've never thought to ask, like, what is your favorite story about your father? What things are you proudest of in life? Or I don't know, like, what is your fondest memory of childhood, etc., etc. Now, Storyworth has created a lot of incredibly powerful experiences for people, because you tend to hear things that you otherwise wouldn't hear if it wasn't prompted of them. So there's no shortage of surprises when you read the weekly stories, and it makes your family feel really, really close, even closer than you may already be. So after 1 year, Storyworth will compile all your dad's stories into a beautiful keepsake book that is shipped for free, including photos. So give your dad the most meaningful gift this Father's Day with Storyworth. Get started right away with no shipping required by going to storyworth.com/Kpop. You'll get $10 off your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/Kpop for $10 off. Yeah. So we've been talking for over an hour now, and I don't know how that happened, but I know you have a lot of things to prep, and then it's late there. It is
11:13.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. So we gotta let you go. And
but I'm a late night guy, so that's fine. All good.
All right. Well, Armaan, thank you so much for making time for the show, for the Daebak Show. Always great, always good catching up with you. And I hope we could do this in person sometime. Like, we've done this in every way possible on the internet, but we just haven't been able to hang out in person.
We have to. And I think that we have planned to link up in the next few months. So we're going to make that happen.
We'll do that.
And I want to surprise you and say, Kamsamnida.
Oh, there you go. Look, now you speak 12 languages. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. No, but Eric has to train me properly in Korean. So we're going to do that. We're going to do a crash course in Korean and K-pop.
Amazing.
But I'm so glad that I got to talk to you. And, when I talk to you, I don't feel like, I'm talking to a stranger or someone I don't know. I just feel like I've known you for a long time. I've expressed this in a lot of interviews, and they were like, how did you feel talking to Eric and like collaborating with him? I was like, dude, I feel like I've known this guy like since long. And I feel like we connect on so many levels.
Yeah.
It's unreal, the kind of connection that we have even through a phone screen. So I'm sure that we're going to bring the house down when we meet.
It'll be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun. And I feel the love is mutual, and I feel the same way. So again, like, I'm so glad to have gotten to know you over the past, I guess, year now, all through the internet. We just put out Echo. People are loving it. But as you just alluded to, you always have other things rolling out. Like, what can fans look forward to in the near future? What should they keep their eyes and ears open for?
Well, I have a new song, which I feel like would have already been out when this comes out. It's called Kya Kiya Hai Toone. It's in Hindi. And
what does that mean?
Yeah. what have you done? What you've wrapped me in your love, and like it's like like
Okay.
what magic is this? What have you done? So
Okay.
that's what it says. Kya kiya hai tune? So this is a song that we've like me and my brother. He's composed it, and I've sung it. And there's another female singer, Palak, who sung this song with me. And I'm really looking forward to fans listening to it and giving a lot of love to that, because I feel like it's the romantic ballad song that everyone wants me to sing. So I'm finally doing that after a long time. So I'm looking forward to that. There are a couple of cool collaborations as well that I've kind of like planned. So hopefully in the next few months, if like the situation kind of like helps us to probably meet and do a video, do a song together, I feel like I'll get that on flow soon. And I have Hindi singles coming out. So
oh my gosh.
A bunch of stuff I need to navigate. Like tomorrow I have a song in some other language, and then day after I have another language, and I don't know what I'm going to do.
This man doesn't stop. He doesn't stop, guys. But it's all good.
But I'm really excited. I'm really excited for all the stuff that follows. And there's a bunch of stuff across different languages. And I have like so many songs in my phone right now, which I want to release. But obviously, it's going to take some time.
Alrighty.
I can't believe it's all in here.
And, I know, right? It's wild.
And then soon it's everywhere in the world.
That's very true.
Well, everybody, look out for these new collabs and singles and Kalakia Teune. I completely butchered that.
Sorry. Okay, I'm going to make you say it properly. Kya kiya hai tune?
Kya kiya hai tune?
Perfect. Awesome.
Okay, everybody look out for Kya Kya Te Hune. And please continue
you messed it up again.
Gosh, I'm so bad at this.
It's all good, man. All good.
I'm trying, everybody. I'm trying. I'm going to give him a crash course in Korean. I'm getting one in Hindi or something. I just need to learn something. But anyways,
Armaan, thank you so much for the time and for joining us on the Daebak show. Hopefully we do this in person very soon, and best of luck.
Sure, man.
We're going to talk later. So I usually be like, thanks so much for hanging out with us. I'll see you next time when you have a single. I'm like, I'm going to text you right after this. So it doesn't.
Awesome.
So everybody, please go ahead and follow us from wherever you're listening to your podcast, on Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever it is. You can check us out at the Dive Studios all over socials, and you can see the video of this at youtube.com/Dive Studios or youtube.com/divepods. Now, we have one thing, a corner that we always ask our guests to do at the end. And if you could, on the spot, make up a very simple goodbye jingle, a cappella, anything.
Okay. A cappella? Okay.
Yeah, whatever. Or you could do anything you want. It could just be like, blah, 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 goodbye.
Okay. What does Daebak mean? Can I know what Daebak means?
Daebak means like awesome, jackpot, like cool, like that kind of thing.
Okay. Oh, Daebak. Oh, Daebak.
hey!
All right. Well, Armaan, thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon, brother. And have a good night.
See you, man.
Get some rest. Love you, dude.
See you soon, man. Bye.
Bye. Hey guys, before you go, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications for this channel. And comment if you can. And before you go, there's so much more content. Look at this. Amazing content for you guys to check out. Do it now. Please? Okay, bye. Go. Bye.